So BIPEC is a 501c6 membership organization. It was founded in 1980 by business leaders from around the state who at the time recognized there needs to be an organization that's committed to electing pro-business legislators to the House and the Senate and actively recruit legislators that they think are pro-business to run for office. And the organization is made up of 30 plus business trade associations from around the state, various industries, various professions, but also individual companies, large and small, that make up the BIPEC membership organization. And again, the idea is that those organizations, our members, all want the same thing, which is to help elect people that will create an environment in Mississippi that will allow jobs to prosper and businesses to grow and attract new businesses. So at the core, that's what BIPEC is about. It's about winning elections. It's about finding candidates to run for the legislature. But also, in years past, we expanded our scope a little bit where we get involved in trying to elect rule of law judges to the court. Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, we're also actively involved in during election years. So the BIPEC Scorecard is a tool for accountability that has been around for quite some time. I know on our website you can go back and see scorecards going back to 2004. But at some point in BIPEC's history, the decision was made that we actually need a tool for accountability. So we have a process, which I'll be happy to talk about here in a minute, but we have a process by which we grade the legislators on their business acumen and from the previous session. And we print that up and we disseminate that to business leaders and to the media and to constituents so that they can see how their legislators are voting on various issues that affect Mississippi and our business climate. We publish that report card annually, and again, I think that it's a tool for accountability. Whether a legislator voted for or against or didn't vote or voted present, we think that the voters back home deserve to know that and be able to ask the questions why. And like I mentioned earlier, we're talking about BIPEC, why the organization was formed. The scorecard is just one tool that we use in what we try to do to elect pro-business legislators. So it's something that we at the end of a legislative term, we can look at their 4-year history and see how they did and decide whether or not it's something that the business community could use to either help somebody get reelected or possibly help find a pro-business candidate to run in a seat where we can improve the business climate here in Mississippi. Well, we give grades A through F. There was one time in BIPEC's history where we just gave a numerical number and realized that it's just easier. Everybody can understand A through F. That's what we get in school, and we know an A is good and an F is bad. But the types of issues that we end up scoring on the scorecard include issues like government regulation, lawsuit reduction, labor management issues, tort reform issues, workers' compensation, taxation issues, government spending. Those are just the types of issues that we're looking at the end of any given legislative session. And we have a process by which I ask BIPEC members that also have a governmental affairs presence at the Capitol to send me the pieces of legislation at the end of the session that were reported to them that they thought is worthy to at least for consideration on the scorecard. And then we compile that information, we get our committee together, we sit down and we go through each bill that was submitted and discuss the merits, and then ultimately kind of weed that down and decide which votes will end up on the scorecard. And there is no set number of bills that we're trying to make sure are on the scorecard. We just look at each bill on its merits and decide, is this something that we think we should be including on the scorecard to keep our legislators accountable. It is, again, it's members of BIPEC that have a governmental affairs presence at the Capitol. So these are people that either represent a trade association or they represent a BIPEC member directly at the Capitol working on the issues on their behalf. So those are the folks that are at the Capitol day to day, that understand the process, they're working with the legislators directly, they're looking at their votes. So those are the ones that ultimately make the decision that which votes end up on the scorecard. Yeah, so I personally I'm proud of our scorecard. I think it's been a useful tool. I know a lot of people may disagree with either our methodology or our process or which votes ultimately end up on the scorecard. But at the end of the day, a lot of thought, a lot of effort goes into deciding which votes and the process of ultimately, producing the scorecard. And, like you said, there's a lot of scorecards out there from different groups with various interests. Our interest is quite simple. What can we do to improve the business climate in Mississippi? And it all starts with making sure that we elect men and women that are in a position to do that. And so, some folks may dismiss the scorecard. Some may actually, put it on their desk, and when they get a phone call from a legislator asking to help them raise money or write a check, they can actually go and say, well, let me, I'm operating a business here in Mississippi. Let's see how my legislator is voting on business issues. So I think it's, like I said, it's a tool for accountability, and I think it's something that for many, many years has been important to the business community. And, my 2 years here at BIPEC, I think we're trying to do a lot more to try to show the value of the scorecard, promote the scorecard, and I think we're going to continue to do that, especially moving into an election year next year.